Okay, so in high school, one thing I will say is that relationships are the hardest thing to maintain. And it gets to the point where, I'm not gonna lie, if you're dating someone in high school right now, break up with them, because no high school relationship lasts in 2023. This is not a joke, this is not a drill, just break up with them and find a girl in college, or, you know, someone that's maybe older that has a better job, or just, you know, someone that actually has their life put together. Because anything after high school matters more than what happens in high school. But today's story is something really insane, and honestly, make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Seriously, it means a lot when you guys do, and on top of that, make sure you guys join me live on Kick streaming, telling crazy stories just like this one. Other than that, let's just jump straight into this insane story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to an insane story. So if you looked at the title, you guys may say this looks like a Mr. Beast title, and honestly, it's not. I'm not joking when I say this. Back when I was in high school, I remember it got to a point where in my grade 10 year, I was basically dating 10 girls at the same time. And many of you guys may ask, why am I doing this? Why would I cheat on basically 10 different girls? And that's because honestly, all of them went to different schools and one of them lived out of the country. So I mean, like, you know, I had my fair share of basically different girls. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds bad, but to be honest, like Andrew Tate once said, a man should have at least 6 different wives and the wife should have only one husband. That sounds really bad and really misogynistic. Am I gonna get canceled like Andrew Tate? Because if I did, can I please be trending at least? Going on though with the story, I remember basically back when I was in high school, I remember it got to a point where I remember I was basically seeing 10 different girls at different times. Like for example, I would meet up with one girl in the morning, and then afternoon, I would like drive over to a different school, pick up another girl from a different school, and basically hang out with one at the very end of the night where I would just end up staying at her place. To be honest, I remember one whole month, I think I've only slept in my own bed 2 times, and it wasn't alone. I've always been doing the devil's tango. And honestly, I was very active. And one thing I will say, it's not like these girls were like madly in love with me. They were just in love with me. And no, I never pulled the I love you card because obviously I'm not gonna do that back. But I remember one time when I was basically going to go see a girl that was basically from a different school. We'll name her girl number 5. I remember she ended up laying down beside me after we did the devil's tango and said to me, Baba, I've said I loved you like so many different times, but you never say it back. Did I do something wrong? Now this is where I got really nervous. I did not know what to say. I did not know what to do. So I remember my only response was, oh, like, I don't know. I'm just not used to saying it, I guess. Which was true. I didn't lie to her. I remember she ended up basically shrugging and ended up basically taking the blanket for herself and basically leaned the other way. As for me, well, I was just laying there thinking, is it right for me to be dating all these girls? At that moment, I had a breakthrough. I realized that what I was doing was wrong. And ladies, if you were watching this video, I know I did a mistake dating 10 different girls at once. It was a really bad idea, and honestly, it was really not a good thing to do. Guys, if you're watching this, don't do what I did. But don't worry, ladies. I made sure I fixed my ways and became a better person. I decided to host a competition. A competition to see what girl would treat me the best. What girl would actually make me feel like the man I wanted to be. What girl would basically win Bubba. Yeah, I know. Pretty awesome, right? So basically what it ended up doing was I remember that night, I basically started planning on my phone, writing down notes on what I wanted with a girl and basically pros and cons of every different girl I was seeing. I made a basic Microsoft Excel sheet, which sounds really weird, but I had to organize it somehow, and basically start organizing pros and cons. Like for example, one girl had a better peach and one girl had a better cherry. Or for example, one girl, you know, knew how to do the devil's tango better than this girl. You know what I mean? Like every girl had its benefits and every girl didn't. So I remember I basically went through a pros and cons list and started basically figuring out who to eliminate. But obviously, I didn't want to just do it right off the Excel sheet and just think, okay, well, that's it. Obviously, there's got to be some competition to it. So I remember to every girl that night, I ended up messaging every single one except the one beside me because that would be weird. But I messaged every single one saying, hey, when's the next time you're free for dinner? I remember a lot of them were messaging me at different times. And I remember I decided to tell them all a specific time where I wanted them all to be at the same restaurant. I know it sounds like a terrible idea, 10 different girls in the same restaurant, but hear me out. The story gets better. I remember what I ended up doing was I basically ended up having all these 10 girls go to the restaurant at the same time. And luckily none of them knew each other because like I said earlier, they went to different schools, and even the one that was out of the country, well, I'm not gonna lie to you, I just straight up eliminated her. So there was only 9 girls left. And basically what I ended up doing was I had all these girls show up in the same restaurant, and my friend that worked at the restaurant, he was a waiter, ended up putting them all in different places of the restaurant. One was in the patio, one was in a private booth, one was like in the bar. All of them were in different spots of the restaurant. And that made it perfect for me me to basically jump to each different girl. Now, I know what you're thinking. 10 different girls? How are you going to stay for each and every single one of them? Well, automatically, right at that moment, I remember I decided to tell my friend that was the waitress, where if I was done with the date and I was basically breaking up with them, I would break up with them on the spot and they would basically end up going home. Because obviously, who would stay for the breakup and just hang out after? That's really weird. But going on, I remember that day ended up coming. The day where I basically made 10 girls compete for my love. And basically, one thing led to another. I remember all of them got to the restaurant and me, I was already there, I want to say like 30 minutes early, just to make sure that everyone understood what was going on at the restaurant so people wouldn't think I'm a total jerk. Because obviously there were some other waitresses there and they were all questioning what I was doing and I had to explain to them. A lot of girls hated what I was doing, but at the same time, I ended up just making sure I give them a big tip just to make sure they don't say anything. Anyways, when all these girls came in, I remember they all ended up sitting in different sections. And me, I ended up going to the first girl. Now, the main things I was looking for when it came to me basically dating these girls was basically any red flags. Red flags that could, make our relationship hard, that could maybe, ruin things. And also I had my list to make sure that would tell me what I preferred and what I didn't prefer. So with the first girl, I remember I sat down with her and I started talking to her. We started talking about school and stuff. And one thing I realized was that the conversation wasn't entertaining at all. Like, I'm not joking. If you have to talk about your cat for 20 minutes straight and show me pictures, I'm gonna sleep. And then right at that moment, I remember she ended up basically getting a message from a dude. And this was on Snapchat. And I remember I said, oh, like, who's that? Oh, he's just one of my friends. Yeah, no, listen, we need to talk about this. And I basically ended up breaking up with her and she ended up standing up, leaving and crying. So that's already one girl eliminated. 8 to go. I remember the next girl, I ended up sitting with her in the patio. Now, she was looking at the view and stuff and she ended up telling me, oh, like, is it normal for you to be late? Already hitting me with a sassy comment. Like, what? Who do you think you are? So I remember at that moment, I sat down and I said, hey, listen, to be honest with you, I don't think this is gonna work. Boom, 7 to go. I remember the 7th girl, I basically walked up to her and I realized that she was more on the bigger side of things, if that makes any sense to anyone that's watching this video. So automatically right then and there, I broke up with her and yeah, she left. I'm not gonna lie, she had a nice pair of cherries, but I'm not gonna handle things double my weight. Going on, I remember basically we were at 6 girls. Now these 6 girls were actually all fine. One of them though, I remember I ended up going up to and I sat down with her. When I sat down with her, I remember she was talking about her being a cheerleader and everything, and it was actually really good. To be honest, she was really attractive and stuff. But the thing is that I remembered that me and her, we could never actually make time for each other because she was always busy being a cheerleader. Apparently, cheerleaders need like basically 40 hours of their week cheering. That's literally it. And me, well, to be honest, I need some time with my girl that I want. You know what I mean? So right at that moment, I told her that time was an issue for us and boom, we broke up. She ended up standing up, leaving. And then now it came to the last 5 girls. Now, I remember I ended up basically walking up to one of them and I'm not gonna lie, I just broke up with her on the spot because she was friends with my homie. And also she's done my homie before as well. So it's kind of weird, you know what I mean? Both guys going down the same hole. It's just not right. So I remember me and her, we just ended up breaking up and then now it's down to 4. Now 4 girls left. Now these 4 girls were actually outstanding. Each and every single one of them, I'm not gonna lie, they were fit, they were beautiful. And one thing I realized was that they were all blonde. Yeah, they were all blonde girls. I guess I have a thing for blondes. I have no idea. But I remember basically I ended up sitting down with one of them. Now this girl, she was really, really good. She was nice to me. She was very fit. But the one thing I realized about her was that she was a gym rat. She was always gymming. And I remember my friend one time told me that if I ever dated a gym rat, prepare for them to become bigger than me. Yeah, no, I'm not letting that happen. I basically broke up with her saying how, I have like these insecurities when I really don't, but I had to make up something. And she understood completely and she basically said maybe it's better for the both of us to end things, and we broke up. To be honest, she actually ended up going to the gym right after. Not surprising. Now we lead to 3 girls left. Now these 3 girls, like I said earlier, they're all blonde, very fit. So obviously I ended up going up to sitting with one of them, girl number 3. And when I sat with them, I remember I started talking to her about, basic goals in life. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Because every girl should have good goals for themselves. This girl ended up saying, well, like, to be honest, like, I don't really know. Like, I don't really have an idea what I want to do. And like, to be honest, I might just like, take like a break here and like live with my parents and just like, just maybe find a guy who's rich. Yeah, no, we broke up at that moment. What if I wasn't rich? What if she found a richer guy? Automatically, I knew that that relationship wasn't going to last. Then we went on to the second girl. Now, this second girl, I remember she was amazing. amazing. I'm not joking. Like, I would actually marry this girl to this day. I know it sounds crazy for me to say that right now, but I will say this, she is outstanding. And I remember when I sat with her, me and her, we had good conversation. Everything was going so well. To be honest, I was at the point where I was considering her the winner. But then I remember girl number one ended up basically walking past me and her. And as she was walking past us to go to the bathroom, she instantly recognized me. She recognized me and said, hey, like, where were you? Like, I thought you weren't gonna show up. And right away, she ended up turning, seeing that I was on a date with another girl. And well, let's just say one thing led to another. They both started yelling at each other and realizing that I was the issue. Realizing that I basically was going on dates with 2 girls at the same time. When in reality, it was actually 10 girls. But I mean, hey, if the number can be less for them, I'm gonna let it be. And yeah, basically, I ended up breaking up with both of them at the same time. And actually, they both ended up breaking up with me at the same time. So in reality, I ended up going home with nothing. Yeah, kind of sad. But hey, I mean, it's not hard to get the devil's tango. Because literally the next week after, one of them actually ended up messaging me back and we ended up doing it again. Anyways, guys, that is basically it for today's story. Make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like I always say, follow for more embarrassing stories. Peace out, guys.